Forte, it's evident from my client's demeanor and the straightforward way that she testified today that she's a genuine and hard-working woman. Mrs. Lockley has suffered from depression for many years, due to a combination of unfortunate events in 2004 and 2012, and also in part due to her depression. Mrs. Lockley made a couple of errors in judgment that resulted in criminal convictions. It's important to note that no one was harmed as a result of Mrs. Lockley's actions. In fact, the greatest danger Mrs. Lockley posed was to herself, as she attempted to take her own life. Additionally, Mrs. Lockley did not serve any time for her 2004 conviction. As more than 10 years have now passed, Mrs. Lockley is deemed rehabilitated for the 2004 conviction. As confirmed by Mrs. Lockley's psychotherapist in his medical report, Mrs. Lockley suffers depression and has struggled with substance abuse problems. Through rehab and therapy, she has managed to turn her life around and, in her own words, get her life back on track. Removing her from this course of treatment, as well as her family, would be disastrous for her recovery. Additionally, Mrs. Lockley has testified that she is the sole provider for her aging mother. Issuing a removal order against Mrs. Lockley today would destroy not one but two lives. Indeed, without Mrs. Lockley's financial support, her mother will almost certainly have to seek social assistance in order to support herself. Mr. Laforte, I have here a copy of an IAD decision, Cecile v. Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness from March of 2009. In this case, the appellant had been convicted of the same crime as Mrs. Lockley, possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. Like Mrs. Lockley, Mr. Cecile also struggled with depression and substance abuse issues. After an admissibility hearing, he was issued a deportation order, which he appealed. At the appeal, the IAD stayed the deportation order. The panel found that while the crime was serious in nature, the appellant should nevertheless be given the opportunity to remain in Canada and undergo treatment. In her conclusion, panel member Jeanette Mills states,